Welcome to Icarus Ape Workshop. Now the mascot for this channel is this guy right here, Icarus Ape. I first drew him in 1994, give or take, and what I did was I drew him out in pencil just like this, and I scanned him into my computer, which at the time was a Dell. Used a program called Paint Shop Pro to ink him and color him in. Didn't have a stylus or anything digital like that. I actually used a mouse, this guy. So today, 2024, I thought I'd update the drawing. My style has changed over 30 years, so I thought I'd give him a slightly more realistic look, not so cartoony as he originally was. There's the old version from the 90s, and the new version down in the right I'll be creating today. Now, as I said, my style has changed over the last 30 years. Here's the original drawings that I did on the computer, on the Dell, using the mouse and Paint Shop Pro. They look pretty good for the time, but nowadays I tend to draw in pencil and then ink with these drawing pens, then use Copic alcohol markers to color them in. So you'll be seeing that here today. So the original sketch was done using a number 2 pencil, just like you used back in school, the standard yellow pencil. And here I'm using a standard eraser that any kid would have, because I think it works better than the artist eraser that I had before. It would leave black smudges everywhere, and I've got a ton of these laying around, so works for me. Okay, I'm going to flip over the drawing board so that these brackets here are on the left side, and I can stick a scratch piece of paper. I like to use the scratch paper because the colors on the marker caps don't always look exactly like the ink inside. So I like to throw down a couple lines on the scratch paper just to make sure I'm getting the color that I want. Now I'm working on the goggles. I think these goggles are awesome. They're huge. And just these two colors, which are R89 dark red and RV29 crimson in the Copic sketch markers, they just these two with a little bit of white showing through really make those goggles jump out of the page already, and we haven't really done too much to them. Here I'm blending in some of the fur and drawing in with the Pigma Micron drawing pens, all the little hairs and the wrinkles and everything. And you see here on the muzzle, these lines, once they're colored in and blended and everything, really make the face look, well, to me at least, realistic. I mean, not anatomically correct, I could never achieve that, but definitely it looks more lifelike to me. You're adding some pink to show a little bit of the blood under the skin shining through, and then blending it back in so it's not so strong. And then blue. I love adding blue, sometimes green, to shadowy areas, especially on the face and hands, because it just gives that extra dimension. Yes, it makes it darker, but having that little bit of extra pigment just gives it a little something that you can't get if you use like just different shades of gray. Just trying to get the direction of the fur correct. See how it goes down on the upper arm, the elbow, the forearm, but then it starts to transition forward so that it drapes over the knuckles. Okay, adding some more blue. And I'll be doing that too to the fingers and knuckles. And once this is all blended together, you'll see what I mean about that extra bit of dimension that an unexpected color like blue would give you, or green, in the shadows. Okay, so the goggle lenses. I've got this refill of the alcohol for the blending pen. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try and do a sort of watercolor type technique on the lenses and put one drop in each lens here, and then use the paintbrush tip of the blender marker to push that fluid around and let the colors bleed into each other. And then reinforce some of the red, put in some shading coming from shadows coming from the goggles. And I think, you know, once all the alcohol dries out, I think it worked out pretty well. I think it looks like glass, especially later when I put in some white ink highlights. It really looks pretty good. I'm going to try it again on a scratch paper and see what other kinds of effects I can come up with using straight pigment from the refill bottles. Okay, I have these Posca white ink markers also to do the highlights. I know some artists, a lot of artists will leave, like in watercolor, you leave a blank white paper to show the highlights on a drawing. Well, unfortunately, I can't plan that far ahead on my drawings. I just go for it, color in what I want to color in, and then if I need some highlights, I just throw on the white ink. Very hard for me to figure out, okay, I'm going to leave this part with no pigment on there because I want the light to shine through. I wish I could, and I probably should, but for now, the white ink works fine. Just throwing in some red just to kind of separate the forearms from the hands. Throwing in some white ink for highlights of the hairs on his chin and his face. Okay, now I'm starting on the wings, and I'm going to be adding a whole lot of lines for the feathers. It's not going to be anatomically correct like what real feathers look like. They're going to look like what Dennis Terroy's feathers look like. So, I mean, not that I have feathers, but I mean the way I like to draw them. Same thing goes for the fur and other features. You know, I want to give you generally the idea that this is a chimpanzee, but I'm not going to be really like a stickler on getting everything exactly perfect. Here are the lines I was talking about, besides the ones on the upper portion of the wings. I like to do this, little sections going in different directions, just to give it texture. Yeah, something happened to the camera. I didn't capture the coloring of the left side wings, well, his right side, so I'll have to show it to you on this section. Pretty much did the same thing on the completed section. Like I said, the phone just didn't quite capture everything. And after I finish coloring him in, what I like to do is go back in with my Micron pen in the thickest one that I have, which on here it's 0.8. I don't know how many millimeters that is. Just to outline them again, just because the alcohol tends to make the pen marks fade. And here's the finished product. I think it looks pretty cool, looks pretty good. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on another video.